Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. I have a strategy show for you guys for the 2020 Masters, and I couldn't be more excited because I feel like I have unlocked a way to create a very small player pool that I think is going to be very successful. In order to do that, I'm going to be looking at Time Pairings. I'll be looking at the bucket system shortly and then getting right into the field and narrowing down each player and creating my player pool right in front of you guys. So be tuned, stay tuned to see that. First, I do want to remind you guys that you can, you can have access to a spreadsheet. There is a free version as well as a paid version. I have the free version up right now. Basically, you get all this information you can see on the screen, looking at positive notes, negative notes, strokes gained last 3 months, strokes gained, season long for 2020, average DK points, their price, and their odds. This is all free. I will have a link in the description how to find that. There's also a paid version, which has a few more elements to it. So Chad from the Fantasy Golf Pod, him and I worked on this together. He has a tab here all to himself, which has a bunch of his notes and a couple of his stats that he finds important. I also have a tab that is kind of a shortened version of what I typically go over in my strategy videos. So you can see the bucket system over on the left side, name, price, course history, recent form average, overall bent grass average, and then basically all of 2020 and 2021, that bent grass average as well as my notes. So you can go ahead and read on some of your favorite players, see if I align with you. If not, obviously you can see some of the worries or concerns that I have. And then basically the premier package, the dream sheet as I call it, this has a ton of information on it. So if I go ahead and hide this column, you can see all the pieces of information we go over. Golfer information, their shot shape, age, the region they live in, official world golf ranking, course fit, last week's scoring stats, recent form averages, season-long stats, and then the recent form versus baseline, which is just comparing the two and then obviously doing a sum function to see if they're doing better or worse, more recently than their season-long averages. That way you can kind of get an idea if someone's playing outside their means or if someone is yet to come back to their means. So you can do that there. And all you have to do in order to get this spreadsheet is become a patron on Chad Eckert's Patreon page. The link will also be in the description, and you can find it there. So let's go ahead and get into this strategy video. First and foremost, there will be timestamps in the description, but also I have chapter mode enabled so you can see on the red progress bar basically where you're at and where the next segments are going to be. It's a really nice feature that YouTube has. You can see it on mobile and you can see it on desktop. So it's there for your pleasure. And also, don't forget, you can watch this in a faster speed. The little gear icon that should be right below me if you're on desktop or top right hand corner, the little three, the vertical ellipses, drill down on that, you'll find playback speed. And I would recommend 1.5 or 2 times speed. It's very watchable at those speeds. So now I have all that out of the way. Let's get into this. We're going to cover the bucket system just quickly. There are some trends that I want to share with you guys that show up almost every single year. And that's how we're going to begin narrowing our player pool. We're going to come back here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit to show you a few more stats as to what to expect. Let's go right down here to top 5, top 10. I like coming here to see percentages of bucket combinations. A bucket combination, obviously last week. I go over that in the bucket system, usually every strategy video. And I also created a bucket system video for the Masters. But in order to learn it a little bit more, there's a link. You'll see a little video, top right-hand corner. You can drill down on that to learn more. You don't necessarily have to. because I'm just going to give you the answers basically as we go through this. When I look at some of the top combinations, I'm only going to focus on these 5 because these are the ones that I really want to share with you. These 5 combinations, which are, again, if you're on the dream sheet, I have them right here. You see the last year bucket, last week bucket, and the number combinations. Those combinations are right here. I have done a count every single year to see how often it happens. And when we look at the bucket combinations for top 10 finishes, these 5 buckets, your 1-1, your 3-1, your 2-1, 4-1, and 1-2, show up inside the top 10 nearly 70% of the time. It's at a 68.75% clip. So your top 10 is made up of those buckets, essentially. Inside the top 5, those 5 combinations, again, at the top here, and they show up 72% of the top 5s. So really what it's telling you is these combinations together are going to basically fill out your lineups extremely easy. And that's why I'm a little excited. It's the first time that I've seen this clear of a picture on creating lineups. So going a little bit further than that, I'm just going to let you see this as I see it. It was 4-1, or basically, let's look at these combinations. So 1-1, 1-2, 3-1, 4-1, 2-1. So let's start out with 1-1s. As I go through this, I'm going to highlight all of the 1-1s that I see, the highest placed golfer. So in 2014, we didn't see a 1-1, but for 6 out of 7 years, we have. And the worst finishing position was 6th place. That's going to win you a GPP. If that is your worst, like if you went with a 1-1 and it was a 6th place finish, it's not going to hurt you. The next one were 1-2s. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of the 1-2s that I see. And just to save time, it basically happens every single year except for 2013. Let's go ahead, highlight all the 3-1s. And again, this is top 10. I'm a firm believer that you want all 6 of your golfers inside the top 10 in order to win a GPP. And this, for 3-1s, 2014 did not work. The last one are 4-1s. So if I highlight all the 4-1s, you can see on the screen, basically I'm highlighting every single year. Now, 4-1s and 3-1s, as well as even 1-2s, there are sometimes they finish outside of 5th place. They still finish inside the top 10, but closer to 10th place than 5th place. That's fine. We want to be looking at what the pricing is for those golfers to see if it matters. In this field, we have Bryson as the most expensive golfer at 11.2. If he were down here in 9th place, we wouldn't want to play him. But let's say if this 1-2 was the first one that comes to mind that I can think of, well, I'm just going to make up a name because I don't remember what the cheapest 1-2 is. But let's say Shugo Imahira was a 1-2 in 2019, and he was like $6,000. That's a golfer you would want to play. But as you can see, almost every single year, those bucket combinations are with each other. And the last one to go over are 2-1s. So as I go through this, looking at the 2-1s, again, you can see almost every single year it happens, and it happens, with a decent placement. Basically, 4-1s, 3-1s, 2-1s, and 1-2s are what we're going to really focus on. 1-1s happen so much, and there are so many 1-1s, not so many 1-1s. There are a lot of 1-1s. And now that I keep repeating these numbers, again, that's the bucket system combination. So the first number is always the last year bucket. The second number is always the last week. So when I say 1-1, last year bucket 1, last week bucket 1. So I know that was quick. I went through that fast, but I want to just to save time. But you can see those bucket combinations happen frequently. And that's where I'm going to be focusing my core. Now, we see a bunch of other different, bucket combinations up here, but they're so infrequent that I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to stick to those 5 buckets and essentially make lineups with them. Now, not every single year do we see all 5 of those bucket combinations inside the top 10, but I think we see them 4 out of... Here, let's go ahead. I'm going to just highlight all of them. So in 2019, it happens. 2018 happens. 17 happens as well. 2016 happens as well. Let's see, which one am I missing? A 2-1. Okay. 2015, we have a 1-2, a 1-1, a 3-1. So we're missing a 4-1 in 2015. 2014, all we have is 2-1 and 4-1. So we're missing 3-1 and 1-1. In 2013, we have them all except for 1-2. So a little bit here and there, we're missing them, but I'm going to start with the core of those golfers. Let's go ahead, look at the player pools just to see, who they are. Let's go ahead and start with kind of our highest bucket combination number, if that makes sense. So a 4-1, we're going to start with our 4-1s, and I have to look at the filters because I definitely have this filtered higher than what it needs to be. Let me make sure I have all of the filters off of here. Okay. So here are all of your 4-1s. It's a pool of 15 golfers. I want to select one of these golfers. And really, I want your convictions to, to go along with this, but my favorite is Rory McIlroy. Maybe I should do this a little differently, actually. Let's go ahead and throw... There we go. I just wanted to put I wanted to freeze the column so we can just keep that information solid right there and go through this. Shot shape, draw is most beneficial here, but I'm not going to really get too stuck with that. I think it's not bad for tiebreakers, but I'm not going to right away filter out by that. We can look at course fit and maybe look at our favorite bent grass golfers, which ends up being Rory. Hideki's also up there. We can look at last week to see how some golfers did. Now, Hideki is the only one in this bucket range that didn't miss the cut for the golfers that did play. We're mostly looking at 4-1, so I should actually remove those golfers. So here are all of the 4-1s. If we look at recent form, basically, here, let's go ahead and sort by DK average, which Bryson only has 1 event. I think all of these golfers here at the top, these 4, have only 1 event, all scoring pretty decent DraftKings points. Don't really have to worry too much about that. We can see what their scoring average is as well. Bryson is leading the way, 66.5. And we can also look at the last week's stats. I'm a big proponent of trying to find, good off of the tee. One of the strategies that I like to employ is I'm trying to find 2 golfers that have positive off the tee with negative putting stats. Just 2 out of my 6. And then I also want to find 1 golfer that has negative off the tee as well as negative putting. And then I want to find one. Actually, then I'll fill out the rest with basically positive and positive. But it looks like the last 3 weeks, that's where the trend has been setting. And it's really the only 3 weeks that I've actually analyzed that. So it's weird that it's kind of come to, you know, that it comes now where it's possible it doesn't happen, right? I'm not going to be really married to that idea, but I'm going to start lineups looking like that. So really, like Bryson, he has 5 strokes gained off the tee, and he has negative putting. And this is all recent stats. Rory has positive off the tee and positive putting. So if we wanted to start our positive negative, we can go ahead and start with Bryson. And I have kind of a lineup construction page here to do that. So let's go ahead and go that avenue with Bryson. I'm actually going to put Bryson and Rory there because I do believe they're my favorite 2 golfers within this 4-1 range. We can keep an eye on these golfers. And actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to set them off over here. So we're going to basically try to create our best Bryson and Rory lineup with the buckets that we did. So let's go ahead, go to the next one, which would be our 3-1s. And this isn't a very big pool either. It's very, very small. Let me go ahead and go by salary. That way it's easier for you guys to follow. Your top price guy is Paul Casey, followed by Justin Rose, Matt Wallace, and you might see on the screen I've X'd out a ton of golfers. This makes it easy for me because a lot of these guys are kind of older guys. What the last year 3 bucket is are missed cuts from the Masters last year. And for the most part, we see 3-1s happen pretty frequently within the top 10. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of assume that it's going to happen again. And it's your pick between these 3 golfers, in my opinion. Paul Casey, Justin Rose, Matt Wallace. Now, I like Justin Rose, so I'm going to go with Justin Rose. I'm going to go ahead and put them in these 2 lineups together. Our next range are going to be our 2-1s. And let's go ahead, sort by this. Okay. We have 21 golfers in this field. Now, our 2-1s are golfers who did not play the Masters last year and did not play in the tournament last week. So some of these guys actually have course history. If I were to scroll over to the course fit and go by course history, that way we can keep the sort for the golfers who don't by salary. Adam Hadwin is the golfer with the best course history that is a 2-1 in this field, followed by Bernd Wiesberger, who's played this event twice, has a course history of 30.75. So that's not terrible, you know, for a golfer that we want here. You can see some of these other guys that have course history. Now, Yuxin Lin, I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing his first name correctly. He's an amateur golfer. He's played this one time before and he missed the cut. So I'm not really particular, you know, like I'm not going to play him. I'm really, anyone that's X'd out here, a lot of these guys are rookies. I shouldn't even say rookies, amateurs. Not a lot. Let me take that back. Let's slow down. It looks like we have 5 golfers here. Andy Ogletree, Abel Gallegos, Lucas Michael, James Segru, Yuxin Lin. They are all amateur golfers, if I'm remembering correctly. So you have 5. And I'm just going to X them out. Sure, they could make the cut, but we haven't seen an amateur golfer finish better than 46th place. Never mind. That was like the mid-amateur. I'm remembering wrong. But either way, I think we really don't see amateurs with inside the top 10, and that's really what I'm trying to focus on. So I'm going to X those golfers out. I am more interested in course history. So here's what I'm going to do with this. We're going to look at every year dating back to see who the 2-1s were. Again, remember, 2-1s are golfers who did not play in the Masters last year and did not play in the tournament last week. So our very first 2-1 ends up being Brooks Koepka, who was $9,500. Had course history, decent course history, obviously. Coming in with a recent form average of 42.5. I want you to keep that in mind. 2018, when we look at this, it's Cameron Smith at $6,900. Recent form, 45.67. In 2017, we have Thomas Pieters. That's the only one. $7,700, 44.25. So to recap, the recent form average has been in the 40s so far, but the price tag has jumped around a little bit. We've got 9,500 Brooks. We've got 6,900 Cameron Smith. Let me go ahead and highlight that. 6,900 Cameron Smith and 7,700 Thomas Pieters. Thomas Pieters, if we look, is the only golfer who does not have course history so far. We're going to keep going back. I have, DraftKings data going back to 2015 on prices. But you can see Cameron Smith had played this before, and obviously 55th place ends up being his course history. So not, really good course history. No course history with Thomas Pieters. We go to 2016. We've got two golfers right here in Matthew Fitzpatrick and Soren Kjeldsen, who did not play in the Masters the year before. Also did not have a last week scoring. Well, obviously they didn't play the week before. They both finished 7th. Recent form, yet again in the 40s. Kjeldsen went 40 or 56.50, but my ranges are always by 20s. 40 to 60 would be the range that these guys fall in. 68 and 64. So again, Brooks Koepka at 95, Cameron Smith at 69, Thomas Pieters at 77. These guys 68 and 64, all again with recent form averages in the 40s. So it kind of, if you're following along and you keep it in your mind, you can certainly we have 5 of them, 5 golfers so far. 3 of them are in the 6K range. That's 60%. One of them is 9,500. That's 20%. One of them 7,700. That's 20%. That makes up all of our so far recent form or 2-1 golfers that have been inside the top 10. Now, we don't have anyone inside the top 10 for 2015 that is a 2-1, but we did at in 12th place. Kevin Na was 6,000. Now this is when the pricing was really wonky. You can see Rory McIlroy on the screen was 14,900. DraftKings hasn't gone there except for the staggered start tour championships. So typically they stay around 12,000. They never really go up or under, or I shouldn't say under. They never really go over 12,000, and they don't go under 6,000. I believe in 2015 they even had golfers in the 5K range. So we're stuck now in that 6 to 12K basically. But either way, you had Kevin Na at 6K. He ended up being in the Millie Maker winning lineup. So we had another 2-1 that you would have wanted to play in the 6K range yet again. So that's basically all we have like DraftKings data for. His recent form average a little bit better, 21.2. Going to 2014, we had Miguel Angel Jimenez, who would have been a 1-1, had course history, but one finish at the WGC event prior to, which ends up being 13th. And we don't really see any other 2-1s under that. So that guy had course history as well. So it's kind of a mix between those that do have course history and those that don't. But one of the things that we see a lot of, basically not very good recent form and in the 6K range. So when we look at 2020 and we're looking at these golfers, the one thing, I guess, let me go ahead, hide this information here because I want to bring this up. I want to bring in recent form into this so we can look at this together. So I'll keep bent grass here, but you can see course history as well as recent form. If we're looking at just recent form, who would apply, who fits that mold of these 2-1s that, obviously have that 40 to 60 recent form average. And it's very short. You've got Adam Hadwin, Matthew Wolff, Cameron Champ, Colin Morikawa, and Ches Reavie. Those are really your only 5 golfers that fit that mold. Now, sure, we could probably see Sebastian Munoz up there. We could see Abe Answer up there or Jason Kokrak. But if I were to go back to here, how many times do you see multiple 2-1s inside the top 10? 2013, we see it once. We don't see it in 2014. We don't see it in 2015. We see it in 2016. We don't see it in 2017. We do see it in 2018, and we don't see it in 2019. So we basically have 3 out of 7 years where we've seen multiple 2-1s. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is, well, let's actually go back here. Look at all the finishing positions. When there are multiple 2-1s, no one has finished better than 4th. And the worst finish is 10th place. When we look at pricing, do you want Colin Morikawa at 9,500 if it happens twice? Probably not. So when you're creating your lineups, if Colin Morikawa is in your player pool, do not include him with the rest of the golfers you see on the screen. So don't include him with Matthew Wolff. Maybe you include him with any of the 6K golfers, because 6K finishing 10th or even 12th place. Actually, let me go back there. Was it 2014 that we saw? 2015 is where we saw. Oh, no. Never mind. 2015 would have been the year you don't see a single 2-1, but you do down in 12th place. Okay, never mind. Let's go back. If you are playing Colin Morikawa, grab someone in the 6K range, because if they finish, say 6th place or worse, it's not going to be terrible. It's going to be good value, right? But if you were to play like Matthew Wolff with Colin Morikawa, like if we were to go ahead and put these 2 golfers on a lineup together, you would have $8,000 left to build lineups with. Now, let's see if we put a big guy with that, like Rory McIlroy, that drops down to 72. You could make a reasonable lineup that way. And even if you wanted to go balanced, you certainly could make a lineup that way as well. It wouldn't hurt you. And as long as no one in the 10K range finishes like top 3, I think you could win a GPP that way if, say, Colin Morikawa finished 4th and Matthew Wolff finished 6th. Because again, that's the best that we've seen so far. And I'm not going to go into every year to find who all the 2-1s were to try to give you a little bit of confidence in whether or not to stick with this or not. I'm just showing you the results of all the 2-1s that we've seen inside the top 10. And if there were multiple ones, where the best finish was. And really your best one was the 4-6. We have a 5-10 and 2 7s. So I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to pick one of them. And for the most part, again, the odds were better with golfers who had course history. I like Adam Hadwin, so I'm going to go ahead, grab Adam Hadwin, throw him on the lineup with these 2 golfers up here. I'm going to move these guys down. Actually, I'm going to put them right here. So we're going to go with Adam Hadwin. So far, this is kind of my core. Basically, that's what I'm trying to create. Going back, our next one we want to look at are golfers. We might as well just go, no. I'm going to go to 1-2s. So we're going to go ahead, look at 1-2s. Where are all of my filters? Do I have... I think these are all of the 1-2s. I don't think there are any more, but I just want to double check something because there should be more 1-1s than what I saw. I think there are. So I have to have a filter on here somewhere. Where is it? I'm just going to try to make this faster this way. Yeah, I feel like we weren't seeing Ian Poulter. Maybe we were. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we only had 10. My bad for wasting your time. There we go. So we only have 10 last year one, last week ones. And again, this is our highest ranked combination. Happened 6 out of 7 years. It's happened 18 times inside the top 10. It's happened 8 times inside the top 5. When we look at all of the 1-1s that finished inside the top 5, I guess I'm going to count the top 6 too. Let's go ahead and look every single year what the price tags were. So again, 1-1s are finishing inside the top 20 the year before and not playing the week before. You had DJ last year. He was a 1-1. He finished second. 2018, we had Rory McIlroy, who was 9-9. He finished 5th. 2017, we had Paul Casey, who was 7,800. He finished 6th. In 2016, we had Paul Casey yet again, $7,700. In 2015, we had Rory McIlroy, who was 4th, end up being the most expensive golfer there. So really, it's kind of a mix of expensive golfers and cheap golfers. But if, say, we had a year where Paul Casey is the only 1-1 that's inside the top 5 or even top 10, let me go ahead and sort this way. So again, these are golfers. We are looking for top 20s and did not plays. Here were all of your golfers. We had a couple, $10K and above, and a $9,000 golfer, which they all would not have lived up to their value. They weren't a part of the optimal lineup. They also probably weren't a part of the GPP winning lineup. So what I'm kind of trying to get at is the 1-1s kind of disappoint when it comes to high-priced guys. When we look at all the high-priced guys, obviously JT, Jon Rahm, Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, there are a lot of expensive golfers. There could be a reason to be made to play someone a little cheaper. Again, Paul Casey was 7.7, 7.8. So really our closest guy is either Ricky Fowler or Matt Kuchar. And I'll let you guys determine who you like or who you don't like. But I think what I want to do is basically go with a Ricky Fowler. But Matt Kuchar does have that negative off the tee and negative putting that I'm kind of looking for as well. I'm not sure who I'm going to find that in with the rest of the buckets. I really haven't been looking, but let's keep that in mind, actually. So I'm going to go ahead, copy them, bring them over here, put them there. But I'm going to add Ricky to my player pool. So basically, I'm going with a 4-1 in either Bryson or Rory. My 3-1 is Justin Rose. Remember, we only had 3 golfers to choose from there. Our 1-1 is Ricky Fowler, but there are several choices we can make with our 1-1s. It's just your conviction plays, because I really like JT, I like Jon Rahm, and I like Xander. I could easily include them, but I'm going to come back to it and give you a strategy that you can use to get these 1-1s up there or on your lineup. And it's really simple. I'm sure you probably already figured it out, but I'll get there soon. Our last bucket to look at are 1-2s. And there are only 4 golfers that are in our 1-2 bucket or 1-2 pool. Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Jason Day, and Francesco Molinari. So if we go back to the notes page, looking at all of our 1-2s, 2018, 3rd place, 2019, 9th place, 2017, 2nd, 2016, 2nd, 2015, 1st, 2014, 5th, and we don't see it in 2013. So really, we have 5 years where I think any of those price tags actually pay off. You know, our most expensive golfer is DJ at 10,000 and Brooks at 9.7. I don't care which one you use. I think they're both fantastic plays, but I really like DJ over Brooks. So if I were to go ahead and put them in the lineup with these guys, you know, if we went with Bryson, we're looking at 6,500, but if we went with Rory, we're looking at 75. So I kind of like Rory a little bit better than going the Bryson route. We really can't get cheaper with our 3-1s or our 2-1s, so we would have to make some kind of sacrifice with, say, like Ricky Fowler, which obviously what we could easily do is change from Ricky Fowler to Matt Kuchar. I'm just going to go here and grab Matt Kuchar just to make this a little bit doable. Because if you were in the price breakdown video or the salary breakdown video, a lot of years we see a 10K, 9K, somewhere close to 8K, whether it is in the 8K or just a little bit under with 7K, another 7K golfer, and a 6K. Those 5 we see quite a bit. And that's kind of how I'm going to try to create my lineups and just fit whatever goes in here. If I were to show you that week in, week out really quick, or not week in, week out, year in, year out, like I said, 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. Your optimal lineup last year were the golfers. It was Tiger Woods at 10.5, Brooks Koepka at 9.5, Xander at 8.5, Webb at 7.4, Cantlay at 7.7, Harding at 63. That was your optimal lineup. That was 49,900. But if we keep going back further, you have 10K, 9K, 7K, 8K. So let me go back. You have 10K, 9K, 8K, 7K, 6K, and then a fill-in. That was your optimal lineup. So it just continues to kind of go down that road. Here's one that really didn't, but let me make a case why it doesn't matter. So in 2017, your optimal lineup left $1,700 on the table. That was 83, 92, 79, 74, 77, 78. But if you were to go ahead, take out like 7-8, put in 10-6, I'm a little bit over. We could go something like this. This would be 50,000. Now I know Charles Schwartzel was in the optimal lineup and you couldn't, replace him. But the salary structure that I just went with, 10K Rory McIlroy, 9.2 Justin Rose, 8.3 Sergio. Your 2 7s are Matt Kuchar, Thomas Pieters, and Chappell's your 68. Pieters would be your 2-1. Kuchar ends up being a 4-3, which is really interesting because that's what Jordan Spieth is. Rose was your 2-2. He was a last year 2, last week 2. Sergio was a 4-1. Actually, let's go to that year. What was that? 2016? No, 2017. So in 2017, you can see. Oh, my bad. He was a 1-2. You can see all the bucket combinations right here. Those are what we're looking for. Our 2-1, our 1-1, so 6th, 4th. We're really skipping. We would be skipping Matt Kuchar, which we obviously can't do. We have to skip Charles Schwartzel and go this way. And what was Chappell? Chappell was like a 1-5, I believe. It was a 2-5. So this year was a little bit wonky. We would not have included a... Would we have included a 1-1? Oh yeah, we would have. 7th place is what we're looking at, right? Yeah, that was Rory. Okay. I mean, there really isn't any other way to create that lineup with, because it wouldn't be optimal, obviously. I mean, it's not optimal. You have to have these golfers in it. But if you did go that route with those golfers, what are you looking at? 4-1, 1-2, 3-1, 2-1. Was sixth place? Yeah, sixth place was, yeah, that was Paul Casey. 1-1 and a 4-3. Really, your only oddball was the 4-3. But you had a 1-1, a 2-1, 3-1, 1-2, 4-1. All within that. So even if you wanted to leave some money on the table, if you followed that path to do it that way, that works out perfectly. That was kind of, a little spider web from what I was originally talking about. But either way, looking at 1-2s, man, how did we even get on that? Oh, price structure. That's why we're getting on that. That was 2017, 2016. Kind of the same, but like 12,300, and then went to 8, 2 7s. A 6K golfer was in there, so it was like 3 7s and a 6K. So basically, you still won an 8, 2 7s, and a 6. So those 4, but I'm going to make an argument that you won a $10,000 golfer as well. And I would say a 9,000, but it's not going to quite work out for us unless we went with Brooks. I like DJ. Maybe this is why we get on Brooks instead of DJ. But let me go ahead and, we already put Dustin Johnson there, so we could go Brooks, no problem. Yeah, I wouldn't have an issue with that. So then the rest, the last 2 positions are basically going to be open to anything. It doesn't matter if it's any of the buckets that we chose from. We could actually go and choose all of the buckets that aren't last week ones and aren't, well, last year ones and last week ones. So we can grab all of these guys, and the golfers that are in this pool, there are 28. And there are a few that we can just X out, or maybe not. But this is kind of probably where we're going to find the missing piece when it comes to building our lineups. We can obviously, again, use the same buckets that we went with already, but I guess if we're trying to find the best golfer in this range, I would highly look at off the tee numbers and kind of go from there. I already X'd out these golfers. It doesn't mean I'm going to absolutely fade them, but I'm probably only going to play them in a couple lineups at most. So if I'm creating 100 lineups, I'm playing them either 1%, 1 to 5%, essentially. Really don't like Corey Connors. Tyrrell Hatton I do like, despite being a 5-2. But I probably am going to fade Scheffler and Sungjae. I also just don't want to play rookies that have not yet seen this course. So already we talked about last year 2s. I really just want one of them, And if we do find, another last year 2 that we like, probably want somebody who played well last week. I think this is actually a missed cut. So it's either play well or missed cut. So it'd be a 2-2. Yeah, so it'd just be these guys. Interesting. We have no 2-2s. Yeah, we do. There we go. Sorry, my bad. So Eric Van Rooyen, JT Poston, you're only 2-2s. If you wanted to play them based off of seeing them every once in a while, not terrible. EVR has the best off the tee stats. JT Poston, not so great when it comes to that. Both of them are putting out of their mind, so that's not terrible. I guess if we go to their baseline stats to see how much better they're doing, it's pretty crazy. Actually, why don't we just go ahead and put that filter on? It's a smart filter to do. What I'm talking about is looking at positive putters. So condition greater than or equal to 0. And then seeing what the baseline is. If anything is negative, we can kind of assume those golfers are going to come back up a little bit. So Siwoo Kim, Shane Lowry. I really like Shane Lowry. And this has already sold me on it. So I didn't even see this. You can see Jordan Spieth is here. So he's obviously putting a little bit better. off the tee is in the negative. I might make an exception for it. Like, I don't, like, when I first think about it, I don't really like it, but I can make an exception. So Shane Lowry fits in this lineup. And these are favorite lineups of mine, especially when we deal with the bucket system. Now, if we wanted to like kind of do a cascading method with all of this, I would say switch out the golfers. You know, like first of the one that I'm thinking of right away is Matt Kuchar for Ricky Fowler. Actually, let's just make this easy for you guys to see what I'm talking about with cascading. So basically every one of these, and you can do how many combinations you want to do. I like to do 3 every once in a while. Sometimes I just do 1, but I kind of like to do 3. Just a simple way to create lineups. But basically we're going to fill in these with other golfers. So our 4 ones, we could go, and we could actually, let's do it a different way as well. So let's just look at 4 ones instead of Rory or Bryson. Let's look at, and really you could pivot however you want to pivot. I remember I still have that one filter on, but I'm going to go ahead and just keep it on. Looking at our best golfers with positive putting. No, let me take that filter off. So this is what I'm going to do. Those are my core golfers that I showed you. But what I'm going to end up doing is just pivot to where I can. So obviously we start with Rory. I could go right in there and do this. So we're not playing a 4-1, which is fine. You don't always have to play a 4-1, but you can certainly do it this way, where it's easy to pivot to Xander. And that just ends up being a solid lineup still. You know, that's what's really wonderful about doing this. Now, Justin Rose, we have $7,900 we can play with. Justin Rose was a 3-1. Darn, Paul Casey would have been a great one to pivot to. But maybe this is how we get on Scotty Scheffler. You know, we're not playing a lot of lineups of Scotty Scheffler. Maybe this is how we get on Scotty Scheffler. Or I do like Matthew Fitzpatrick. Maybe we go down and we put another 4-1 in there. But even if we, let's say, we did not like Xander, we could put Fitzpatrick here. Look at what we have left over, 2,800. And one of our cheap 1-1s was Ricky. We can go ahead and take Ricky out and fill in with our high-priced 1-1. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping. I'm going to go ahead and just remove the dream sheet. So now we have a solid lineup that still follows kind of the rules that I have in place. And it makes lineup building so much easier. You know, if we stick to columns, let's say this is our 4-1 column. This is our 3-1 column, our 1-1 column, 1-2, 2-1, and then just random. If those were our columns that we went with and just built lineups this way, how easy would lineup building be? And really, it narrows down the types of players you can play together. But I'm not. I like this approach and this idea, and I will use it in nearly. Basically, I'm going to use in the percentages that we see it. You know, like I think we saw it 4 out of 7 years, if my memory serves. And I love to have this little cheat sheet here, 407, 57% of my lineups. So I might do it in 50% of my lineups, which means, you know, maybe it's just best to kind of go with what I already showed you guys. Put Xander here instead of, you know, trying to switch out a 4-1 and having a couple more last year ones. So having 3 last year ones, not terrible. And that's obviously all these golfers that are in green. I must have, there you go. So like, that's not terrible. I like that idea a lot. And I'm not really married to Adam Hadwin. Like I'm not going to force myself to play him in all of my lineups. This is probably going to be mixed. And I mean, my memory's kind of fleeting me. I forgot who all of our 2-1s were. I don't think there were a lot. And there are a lot of good ones like Matthew Wolf, Abram Answer. Abram Answer is one of my favorites. So we could probably put Abe Answer here and then figure out, you know, what 7-4 golfer we'd want to play here. Now it's a 1-1 that we are missing out on, and the first one that comes to mind that's cheap would be Ian Poulter. So we can easily put Ian Poulter there. That fits under the salary, you know, guidelines. So there are I shouldn't say endless. There are limited ways to create this lineup, but really endless fun, because I enjoyed making lineups this way, and it's going to get me on great plays. I firmly believe that kind of going by this bucket combination, it's by percentages, right? We see it a lot. So I'm going to stick to building lineups this way, and then I'm just going to pivot off of some of these, you know, these rules that I'm creating for myself. You know, a 4-1, I can pivot to whatever other bucket I want to. And that way my exposure for 4-1s isn't that high. Same applies for 3-1s. You know, what if a 3-1 doesn't finish inside the top 10? Well, I only have it once. So if I were to pivot from Justin Rose to Abram Answer, because I know that is something we can do. So let me go ahead and put them up here. That fits. You know, Abe Answer is a 2-1. Adam Hadwin's a 2-1. Now I have 2 last year, 2 last week 1s. That's fine. Maybe I don't like Adam Hadwin that much. He's 6,500. Maybe I go to a 6,900 golfer. Can't think of any off the top of my head, but let's just go down here and just see a name that we like. Well, hey, let's go with a last year 2, last week 2. We don't have any of those, so we can put that there, and we have EVR. Like, it's awesome. And especially if you are one of the patrons using the spreadsheet, you can go ahead and filter by whatever stats you want to. Maybe we want to find some of the better off the tee guys. You know, if they've been better than their stat line, we can certainly go and filter by that and get a limited amount of golfers. Obviously, Adam Hadwin shows up now. Well, not now, but maybe we go to Sebastian Munoz. You know, maybe that's a golfer that we like. I have no problem with that lineup either. They are all fantastic. So that's why I was excited about this video. Creating these lineups, creating this player pool, to me, super simple. This is why I like the bucket system. It's allowing me, I know this is limiting who you can put there, but honestly, it's very mind freeing because you don't have to worry about, you know, that many more golfers. Obviously, if I were to call, let me get rid of this filter, you know, all the golfers who aren't last week 1s, I can essentially call, sorry, let's do it the other way. This my riffraff group, and we'll get rid of last week 1s. Or last year 1s. So like these golfers here, these 28 golfers, they're random variables for me. I can plug them in however I want to. I can also fade them, you know, when I want to or how I want to. I honestly don't. I could create lineups without these golfers and then just stick to the strategy that I've introduced to you guys. You know, again, there weren't many 4-1s. Here are all your 4-1s. I would say don't play more than 2 of these guys because of what we already went over. You can see all of them on the screen. Same applies for 3-1s. I mean, 3-1s were simple, right? Shugo Imahira, not going to play him. Freddie Couples, not going to play him. VJ, nope. Larry, nope. Jose, nope. Mike, Sandy, no way. Super simple. And if you don't like these golfers, it's going to be easy to pivot from them, right? I mean, we don't see 3-1s every single year. You see them every year but one, but we don't see them every single year. Which year didn't we see them? So let's double check here. 2014. Okay, let's check 2014. Yeah. We would still have it. Which would be a missed cut and did not play. So Jamie Donaldson, 14th place. 14th place isn't going to hurt you. How many did we actually see that were 4-1s? Yeah, we'll just go right here. So our pool were these guys here. Woosnam, old. Watson, old. Stadler, old. O'Meara, old. Crenshaw, Mize, old. You basically had a player pool of 3 yet again. And Donaldson finished 14th. So if that was enough to show you, to prove to you guys that, you know, you do want to look at 3-1s. If that wasn't enough, I don't know, you know, what is. So I like this quite a bit. And maybe now Imahira's in play because he's not old. You know, I don't know. Up to you guys. But I guess for me, looking at these numbers might be difficult. Maybe that's how we get onto Matt Wallace instead. 6,800 is not terrible. Again, 3 golfers, you get to mix and match however you want out of this bucket. And if we were to go back to that nice little cheat sheet that I have, 6 out of 7, 85%. So you have 4 options, in my opinion. Don't play any 3-1s. Play 100% of 3-1s. Play what the next number after this would be for 7 to 8. Ends up being like 88% or something like that. Or you go 5 out of 8, which is just over 50%. 5 out of 8. Trying to remember the easy way to do math. That's going to bother me. Let's just do the math on the screen, on the video right now. 5 divided by 8. No. 62.5%. I think we could have gotten there. Anyways, that's going to be it. That is how I'm going to create lineups. I guess, you know what? Never mind. Let me go over one thing really quickly. When it comes to trying to figure out the best plays, you know, just one step further, I didn't go over tee time pairings. So let's do that really quickly. Every golfer that's highlighted, there's a reason behind it. So if it's a red highlight, it means they're the only golfer in the field or in their group who has a scoring average, a recent scoring average, that's below field average. If it's yellow, that means there's 2 in their group. If it's green, that means they have both recent form scoring average as well as season-long scoring average below field average of both of those categories. So that means they're playing well now, and they're better, you know, at golf than most of the people. That's essentially what this green color combination is. The darker the green color, the better. And it's really, if it's really dark, that means all the players in the field or in their group have that green color, and I'll get to them. In game number 1, it's CT Pan. He's the only one that has a scoring average below. Probably, I mean, it gives me some reason to play him, but I'm probably going to stay away. Brant Snedeker and Charles Howell, they don't have season-long. Their season-long scoring average is not better than the field average, so that's why it's yellow. That means both of them, their recent scoring average is below field average. Obviously, they're playing together, so that's why I highlighted a yellow. Green, we've got Webb Simpson and Hideki Matsuyama. They're playing with Mark Leishman. I don't think it's bad pairing any of those guys up together. Probably not going to, though. But Webb is a 1-1 for what it's worth, and Hideki a 4-2. Scheffler, Kisner, and Hadwin. That is an interesting group to me. Hadwin, obviously, we just went over it. I do like him. I like that he's in a group with other scorers. Maybe Kevin Kisner is the 4-1 that we go to. You know, if we're making Adam Hadwin lineups, why not make Kevin Kisner our 4-1? $7,100, you know, not terrible. looks like Kevin Na is the only one in the group that has a scoring average below field average, and that actually includes both recent form and season long. He's playing with Matt Kuchar and Lee Westwood, so really that kind of boosts them up a little bit too. And if we were going to go the Matt Kuchar route, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to slot in Kevin Na, where we ended up putting Shane Lowry. Bryson, Rahm, and Louis Oosthuizen's playing together. Now, Louis is a 4-1, so if you were playing multiple 4-1s, a Bryson-Louis stack wouldn't be terrible. If you wanted to find a 1-1 to go with a 4-1, Rahm and Oosthuizen wouldn't be terrible. But if you were to put Rahm and DeChambeau together, you limit your lineups considerably. So I probably wouldn't go that route. But either way, that seems like a pretty good group. The next one that's interesting is Xander Schauffele with Jason Kokrak and Henrik Stenson. I would probably put Xander up a little bit. I mean, I already like Xander, but if you wanted to find a 2-1, playing these two guys together might not be terrible. Why don't I just actually... I do want to incorporate this into the video somehow, so... I'm just going to put all of these together. I should have been doing this in the beginning. But obviously I forgot to do that, or didn't think about it until now, which is totally fine. Okay. Continuing on, actually... see, Rahm and Kevin. Put those two right there. Okay. Let's move on. Well, Xander and Jason, I think we did that right. Yep. Patrick Reed is playing with Tony Finau and Paul Casey. Paul Casey's a 3-1. You know, if you're going to play a 3-1 with a 4-1, maybe it's Patrick and Paul together. Maybe not a terrible play there. Or adding in Finau with them. You know, Finau is a 1-4. We have seen 1-4s inside the top 10. I'm not too crazy about it. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I don't really care, but it is doable. Jason Day's playing with Charles Schwartzel and a very young amateur in Gallegos. Don't know how I feel about that. I think it hurts Jason Day than anything. I'm not going to pair him up with anybody, but his scoring average, recent and season long, better than field average. Shane Lowry is playing with Tiger Woods and Andy Ogletree. So Ogletree was the NCAA champion, the NCAA winner. Yeah, the champion, obviously. He does have the shot shape for this golf course. He did go to Georgia. So, you know, he does have the ties to this golf course. Not so much like he played this course all the time, but I guarantee he's played at least once, maybe twice. I already liked Shane Lowry. Now this might get me on someone like Tiger Woods or Andy Ogletree, or maybe I just play Shane Lowry by himself, which I've already been doing, but maybe that's a good reason to do it. Lonto Griffin, I don't like his bucket combination, but his scoring average is really good. He's playing with Tyler Duncan and Vijay Singh, which actually Lanto and Vijay, believe it or not, here's a really interesting thing that just came to my mind. Vijay gave Lanto a putting tip before winning the Houston Open last year. So he probably has good feelings with Vijay, and playing together might be a good thing, but you know, they're going to be playing in the same group, which if Vijay doesn't do well, he could bring down Lanto. Vice versa, maybe Lanto not playing well brings down Vijay. I wasn't going to play Vijay either way, but still, I don't know. I don't think I want to play that. Jordan Spieth is playing with Gary Woodland and Ian Poulter. Obviously, I already mentioned Ian Poulter. Jordan Spieth is not a bad play. I'm going to actually include these guys together. I really don't think it's a terrible play whatsoever. And again, I'm just copying these guys here because they're all golfers I probably want to play together. I really don't care about Siwoo Kim, Graham McDowell, or Nate Lashley. And I'm really only talking about the golfers that I've highlighted. Sebastian Munoz is by himself, but he's playing with Benny Ann and Ches Reavie, a bunch of 2-1s. Maybe you pivot to one of the other guys in this group. I don't know. I'm not going to. I don't care. Mickelson's playing with Anser and Wiesberger. I don't mind pairing any of those guys up together, but I'm not going to play multiple 2-1s, so I wouldn't play Anser and Wiesberger at all. Not together. Watson, Fleetwood, and Wolf all have the exact same shot shape. Now, Bubba can shape it both directions, but he primarily hits a fade. He's a lefty paired up with 2 righties who draw the golf ball. They'll be seeing the same shot shapes into each hole. Maybe Bubba's is going to curve a little bit more than the other 2, but this, I think, actually brings up these golfers quite a bit. And this group altogether, not terrible. So I'm going to actually overwrite them there and then paste them here. One of these dynamite groups here, Colin Morikawa, Tyrrell Hatton, and Adam Scott. They're actually the only group that has scoring average under field average for both recent form and season long. So they're definitely right now the hottest. I would call them the hottest group based off of just scoring average. Cameron Smith is playing with Francesco Molinari and Billy Horschel. I would never play Cameron Smith with Billy Horschel. We don't see a lot of 5-1s together make the top 10, but I really don't mind Cam Smith with Francesco Molinari. And I'm not going to be afraid of playing Molinari this week. Let's see. Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka, and Matthew Fitzpatrick. Now, Brooks doesn't have the recent form. Actually, no. He didn't have season-long scoring average underneath field average. 70.55. Scoring average is 70.45. So it's really close, but he didn't have it. So therefore, it's not all green, and they're not, one of the other hottest groups, but still not terrible. Obviously, they're a good group. And if I do like Matthew Fitzpatrick, then I wouldn't mind pairing him up with Justin Thomas or Brooks Koepka. In fact, the one group that I did, forget which one it was. I think it was up here where I substituted out Ricky Fowler for Justin Thomas. So if I were to do that, let's just put Justin Rose back here and then went with Matthew Fitzpatrick here. Does that work out? So we're minus $200. Obviously, yeah, there we go. My original lineup, I just switched out JT I switched out Ricky for JT, and I switched out Rory with Matthew Fitzpatrick to get these guys together. I think that's pretty good. Obviously, you could do the same thing with Brooks and Dustin. So if I put them all together, they're all right there. I don't think that's a very smart thing to do, but it's definitely a thing you could do. So, I mean, it's an option, right? I think we're nearing down to the bottom here. JT Poston is playing with Christian Bezuidenhout and Bernard Langer. I'm not going to play Langer no matter what. I don't even care if he makes the cut. I'm trying to win a GPP. He's not going to be a part of the GPP winning lineup. But Bezuidenhout is actually an interesting play, and I think he's not highlighted because he doesn't have enough stats. No, he just isn't highlighted because he isn't. The next group, another really good group, Rory with DJ and Patrick Cantlay. Really like this group. Obviously, I've already kind of paired them up together. You see, or I had Rory and DJ here. So obviously that works out. I have Rory and DJ in a lineup together. I mean, maybe that's how I do my lineups. Maybe it's Rory and DJ, or it's Brooks and JT. Let's actually put that together. So I'm gonna put that here. Basically copy this whole thing. Can't play DJ. Can we actually play Brooks? Are we $1 over or 100? No, that's right on the money. So that would be a pivot. That wouldn't be a terrible one. Let's finish this out. Cameron Champ and Zach Johnson and Justin Rose. So this is obviously a group I like. Justin Rose does not have the scoring average that you would want. Let's see, 70.25. Field average is 69.95. So he's just over that. And scoring average altogether, 70.49, 70.59. So he's just, again, just over it as well. But at his price tag and the fact that he's my favorited 3-1, I think that's not a terrible play. So copy them, put them right here, copy. So here are all the combinations that I like. Any of these combinations, pretty sound in my opinion. I want to check one thing really quick. I don't know if you guys were thinking about the same thing, but when the 3-1s are this small, I just want to see if anyone's highlighted, and no one is. So I was going to say if either of these guys were, I'd probably give the slight nod to them. Our best last year 3 would be Shane Lowry based off of scoring average. This should say can shape it both ways. Okay, so that was very detailed, and I wanted to give you, I said basically everything I wanted to. I provided all the different ways you can create lineups. I think it was pretty solid. You know, it is a very narrow way of creating player pools. And honestly, I think it's, I don't know. Give me your comments in the description or in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about it. Or message me, DM me on Twitter, message me through email. It doesn't matter. I think YouTube even allows you to message people. Give me your thoughts and ideas. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if you don't. I mean, I love all types of feedback. I like any type of criticism. Well, I only like constructive criticism. Destructive criticism never gets anything done. So go ahead. I would like to hear your take on everything. And I hope this was good enough to get you guys to win a lot of money. I mean, that is the goal, right? To win a GPP. I think maybe subbing, you know, one of these guys out with anybody, but keeping a core of these guys right here is going to be extremely beneficial. So with that, I'm going to end the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let's win $1 million. All right, see you later.